The firing squad returns. In a stark, dimly lit chamber in South Carolina, history was made under the shadow of controversy. For the first time in 15 years, a U.S. inmate faced death by firing squad, a method steeped in America's violent past, frontier justice, and modern debates over cruelty and mercy. Brad Sigmon, a 67-year-old convicted double murderer, became the fourth person executed by firing squad since the death penalty resumed in 1976. This is the story of his final moments, the brutal history of this execution method, and why states are reviving a practice many thought obsolete. Brad Sigmon's path to the execution chamber began in 2001, when he bludgeoned his ex-girlfriend's parents to death with a baseball bat and kidnapped her after she refused to reconcile. For 23 years he sat on death row, repeatedly dodging execution dates as legal battles over South Carolina's shifting execution methods stalled his fate. Sigmon admitted to the killings, but spent decades grappling with what his lawyers called severe mental illness, even earning a reputation as a model prisoner who worked daily to atone for his crimes. Faced with three options, lethal injection, electrocution, or firing squad, Sigmon chose bullets. His attorneys argued the electric chair would cook him alive, while lethal injection posed a gruesome risk, a rush of fluid into his lungs, drowning him internally. South Carolina's secrecy around its lethal injection drugs, sourced anonymously after pharmaceutical companies boycotted sales, fueled his distrust. He knew the firing squad would break his bones and pulverize his organs, said attorney Gerald Bo King. But this impossible choice was a measure of his desperation. Execution and aftermath. At 6:05 p.m. on March 7th, Sigmon, clad in a black jumpsuit and shackled at the ankles, was strapped into a chair with a target over his heart. A black hood covered his head as three volunteer marksmen stood 15 feet away, the distance of a basketball free throw line. Armed with .308 caliber rifles and specialized TAP urban bullets designed to shatter on impact, they fired simultaneously. The rounds fragmented against Sigmon's chest, destroying his heart. He was pronounced dead in 3 minutes. Witnesses, including victims' family members, media, and Sigmon's lawyer, watched through bullet-resistant glass. In his final statement, Sigmon urged Christians to help us end the death penalty, rejecting Old Testament eye for an eye logic. "We live under the New Testament now," he declared. The firing squad's return reignites a fierce debate. Is this method barbaric or humane? Proponents argue bullets deliver near-instant death compared to botched injections or agonizing electrocutions. Critics, like Randy Gardner, whose brother Ronnie was the last firing squad victim in 2010, call it gruesome and barbaric. He carries autopsy photos of his brother's body, riddled with bullet wounds, as proof. South Carolina's shift to firing squads stems from a lethal injection crisis. After drug shortages left executions stalled for 13 years, lawmakers scrambled for alternatives. Even Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor weighed in, calling firing squads comparatively painless in a 2017 dissent. Today, 5 states, Idaho, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Utah, and South Carolina, have legalized the method. Sigmon's execution highlights a system in turmoil. With 32 inmates still on South Carolina's death row and no clemencies granted since 1976, the state faces mounting pressure to resolve its execution logistics, or abolish capital punishment entirely. Meanwhile, Sigmon's final act, sharing a last meal with fellow inmates and donating his commissary funds, paints a complex portrait of a man seeking redemption amid irreversible consequences. As the echoes of gunfire fade in South Carolina, one question lingers. In a nation divided over justice and morality, does the firing squad represent a pragmatic solution, or a step backward into a darker past? For Brad Sigmon, the answer came in 3 bullets. But for America, the debate is far from over.